History is beautiful. It teaches us about events which were impactful, life-changing, and pretty hysterical. There are probably so many hilarious events which haven't been documented. But here I am to cover some of my favorites which we do have records of. And they range from haha to hee hee. In the 15th century, Korea took writing records of everything very seriously. They had recording officials who were designated for the job, and they were operating separately from the government, which means the king and other people in high positions of power couldn't order them not to record something. The story goes that King Taejong went hunting and fell off his horse. Unfortunately for him, a recording official was nearby and wrote the event down. Embarrassed, the king wanted the record erased, but he had no authority over the recording official. And despite the king's efforts to destroy the record, the officials relentlessly made many copies which they kept hiding in more and more obscure places. It's safe to say they were the icons of history before we had modern technology. These records are considered to be the longest continual documentation of a single dynasty in the world. So today, King Taejong's legacy is being that guy who fell off a horse and was very embarrassed about it because he was so persistent to cover it up. So I guess the lesson here is not to emphasize something you're embarrassed about. Come to think of it, who knows what else is documented in those records? Oh, that was a good meal. July 21st, the king farted after dinner. The smell is rather unpleasant. Persian king Xerxes was a famous historical figure and conqueror. At the time, he was on his way to conquer ancient Greece, so he ordered his men to build a bridge at the Dardanelles so he could transfer his large army faster. However, his bridge was destroyed by a storm, and instead of making another plan after it happened, he decided to punish the sea first. How, you may ask? He ordered his army to whip the ocean with chains 300 times and poke it with red-hot irons. Xerxes was so far ahead of his time that he managed to make a movie reference more than 2,000 years before it released. They also threw handcuffs into the sea to symbolize its submission to the king. General, I want you to punish the sea for disobeying me. How? It's just water. It can't feel anything. Whip it with chains 300 times so it learns its lesson. What? Did I stutter? No, my king. The Romans also had traditions which look ridiculous today. Usually for decisions related to war, they would consult sacred chickens. Basically, they would give the chickens seeds to eat, and whether the chickens ate or not would determine their approval or denial of the made proposal. During the First Punic War, Roman commander Publius Claudius Pulcher wanted to engage the Carthaginians in a naval battle. Of course, he had to consult the chickens first. The chickens, however, refused to eat. Enraged, the commander threw the chickens into the sea and said, "Let them drink then." After this blasphemous act, he lost the battle. He wasn't sued by PETA for animal abuse, but he did get accused of treason and got heavily fined. Remember, kids, always trust your gut, and more importantly, your chickens. The famous Napoleon Bonaparte was a great conqueror, but he got outnumbered and was forced to retreat by a fearless enemy. Rabbits. In 1807, he wanted to hunt rabbits to celebrate the signing of a peace treaty. His chief of staff brought several hundred rabbits, which were caged. The plan was to release the rabbits so they would run away and Napoleon would hunt them. But since the rabbits were tame and raised by people, they started running towards him because they thought he would feed them. Overwhelmed, he had to flee and retreat from the army of rabbits, which shows he also knew how to strategically retreat from a real threat. I bet those rabbits were haunting his dreams for a long while. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching and subscribe for more educational content. And don't forget to feed your rabbits.